Our 1972 Camaro big block street car has run low 12s in the quarter mile, but we're getting nervous about breaking parts. Today, we're pulling the weak, stock 10-bolt rear axle in favor of something stronger.
This car, the Camaro, we have a 10-bolt rear end with a 373 gear, and it's only a matter of time before we disintegrate it. So that's why one of the things that we have planned for it is a Strange Engineering Ford 9-inch rear end. The bite is achieved by having a set of Caltrac bars on it, which I'm sure we'll be playing with when we get a little more horsepower in this baby. We're going to have to figure out a way to make it hook again. And remember, whenever you make something hook, it tries to break things. So that's why the next step is to buy a good part like a rear end. Well, after we get the car up in the air on jack stands, we get the wheels and tires off to get them out of our way. Well, to help prevent making a mess, I salvaged this drive shaft, and I now use it to plug the transmission. We take the drive shaft out, and then before too much fluid leaks out all over the ground, I just stick in this slip yoke. Keeps it from being too messy. Hate messy garage floors. So the next step is to remove the shock. It looks like the rear end's gonna fall out of the car, but it's not gonna. It's a leaf spring car, so when you take the tension off the shock absorbers, everything just drops, but it only drops so far. I'm now going to put the jack under the center of the rear end just to keep everything in place while I loosen the rest of this stuff. The next thing we're going to do is disconnect the rubber hose that connects the brake system to the rear end. And what I'm doing is probably not smart because I'm directly underneath where the fluid's going to leak, so I'm sure it'll hit me right in the eye. Probably would be a good idea to be wearing glasses right about now, or close your eyes. I'll just close my eyes. Well, the next thing that we have to do is get the emergency brake cable disconnected from the original backing plates, because we have to use the backing plates again. There's a thing in here that kind of looks like a big octopus, and once you push the octopus through the hole, its legs open up. So I'm trying to squeeze all 8 of the octopus's legs and jam it backwards through the hole. You know, this octopus just doesn't want to go through the hole. You want to go through the hole. Your home is on the other side. The next thing that we're going to do is eject the housing up off the leaf springs and try to get it out of the car. I'm sure that'll take about 5 seconds. A little more. To me. Down. Okay, one of the few things that went right. And your rear end's out of the car. Well, now we're going to put in the brand new Ford 9-inch from Strange Engineering, and a couple things I want to point out that are really cool to me. I mean, the housing ends that they make are all CNC machined. They're just works of art. You can see that they're TIG welded on. Look at that weld. The bolts that they supply for holding on the backing plates, they're T-bolts they're called. You don't have to use a wrench on one side, and the other end has an aircraft quality nut on it that doesn't require the use of a lock nut. It's really, really neat. The mounting brackets that hold the rear end are extra beefy. They're not going to go anywhere. They sure as heck look stronger than the 10-bolt that was there. One of the tricks that we do is I like to weld a little bolt on the rear end so that it can hold our T fitting for the brake line. Then we bend up some brake lines just to make it look nice. Strange Engineering welds in a bung for filling the rear end. It just makes things a lot easier rather than pouring the oil through the small opening on the center section. And then finally, if you take a look inside the rear end, the bracing that they build into the rear end just to make it strong. One of the quick things to look at is the double thickness flange. If you notice, there's 2 pieces that's twice as thick as the Ford 9-inches were when they were stock. It really makes it a bulletproof piece. I'll start by putting one end in and setting it right on the dowels. Like that. Well, we're now putting on the lower half of this spring pad, which also acts as the top part of the Caltrac traction device. Getting good traction with a leaf spring car can be a challenge. when a leaf spring car leaves the starting line, if you take a look, the front portion of the leaves wind up wrapping up almost into an S shape. CalTracks, to me, are the best solution to this. The way a CalTrack works is they put a link bar from the underneath the rear end to basically a point below where the front of the leaf spring attaches. What this does is it causes a forward force in this lower bar. By doing that, you don't ever allow the leaf to wrap up. It eliminates wheel hop and helps supply the rear tire. As far as leaf springs go, this is the only way to go. It's easier to put the rear end in the car as a housing because it's such a bulky, heavy object. As you can see, the center section pops in and out pretty easy. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's heavy, but it's still relatively simple. And if you ever need to change ratios, really, this is the only thing you have to do is pull the whole center section out and then work on the bench. Well, as you can see, we're putting the backing plates back on after we modified the backing plates to accept the bigger diameter bearings. We could obviously run disc brakes. That would be a little bit more of an expense. Right now, it's easy just to put the brakes back on that were on the car. And for this car, for the speeds that it'll be traveling, it'd be more than adequate. Well, once you've got everything buttoned up underneath the car, the next thing we do is stick on the wheels and tires. And always remember to torque your lug nuts.
With the new Strange 9-inch installed, we're ready to start adding ridiculous power to this Camaro without fear of breakage. See more at V8TVShow.com.